for joining us. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do you have any corrections to the agenda? Any changes, amendments, anyone? Good with the agenda as it sits? Okay. We're going to move to item number 3, which is public comment. Members of the public may offer comment for up to 2 minutes on items that are not already on the agenda and matters within the purview of the City Council. Anyone who might have Tommy, come on up here and grab that seat if you would.
Certainly.
State your name, Tom.
Tom Bellow. I am at present homeless, and it's been a difficult number of months since I got out of the hospital in June 26. And I heard it. Tim wrote a article in the paper, and he also overheard me talking about my situation. And 2 days later, an officer approached me, so I was staying in the parking lot, or the parking garage, living out of my car, and told me that I had to leave. I believe it was originated. The complaint was generated by Mr. Hawkins. And that's really, so we're looking for arbitrary to be that I'm singled out. Yet while I was there, and I paid for it, about a 6-month pass. I'm looking for an apartment, can't find an apartment in town. And the officer told me I had to go, and so I did. But I'm just curious because I heard Tim wrote an article recently being very aggressively negative about the fact, and it is a fact, that people are living in that garage. And I mean, I was only there for a couple of weeks, but I saw numerous people that were obviously living there, yet I was singled out, and I'm wondering why.
So Tom, I think I'll start. So Tim had expressed concerns about what was happening in the garage.
Yeah, I heard about the article.
So Messenger wrote the article. The city did an initiative to clean it up. It wasn't just, I'm confident to say it wasn't just you. There was a number of other folks. We encountered a situation when we asked another couple to leave. They threw trash cans down the stairways, that type of stuff. So it was.
I don't do that.
No, I know. It wasn't you for sure. So it was a combination of a lot of things, broken bottles, things thrown off the 3rd and 4th stories, just the condition of the building, lighting. So Tim had expressed a number of items that he thought needed to be addressed, and the city took that upon with both Public Works and with police to be a little tighter on the policing of it. And they did ask a number of people who were homeless that were utilizing the garage to leave. I didn't realize you were one of them, but there was, I can assure you, you were not the only one. There were others as well who were asked to leave. I think the bigger issue here is the housing issue and trying to.
I'm looking for an apartment. I have the money to pay for it. I just can't find one.
Dom, is this something restorative justice can step in on?
On the housing problem, you mean, or on
the housing?
Maybe. You know, happy to.
I mean, and just to follow up, Tom's not the first one I've had this discussion with. There's been, I'm sure most everyone here at the table have had a similar discussion about trying to find some housing for individuals. That,
Yeah, I met a woman just last week that, and we were just joking when I was talking to her. I met her talking to her dog and her kids. And she said, oh no, we just had one. My uncle rented it. And I'm like, crap, I wish I'd ran into you last week. You know,
always works that way, though.
Yeah, just my luck.
I mean, I think the Champlain Housing Trust is a better fit than
Yeah.
RJC. You know,
What's RKC?
that's a restorative justice program, and they primarily
Because I'm on the list with the other, the Champlain
Champlain Housing Trust. Yeah.
But they say it takes up to 12 months.
Yeah. Do you have a voucher?
I'm
Section 8 voucher?
No, no, I don't. I'm on Social Security Disability, which I gotta get a hold of them because they're sending it's not a lot of money every month. And they're sending a third of it to my son's mother when I have a court document signed by a judge that says, no, that's not,
Yeah.
you're not gonna do that.
Yeah.
Problem is, I'm living out of my car.
Yeah.
I had my hands on that document a month ago, but I can't locate it right now. I gotta tear everything out of my car. It's a lot of crap. I try to file it for 4 hours coupe. It's not an easy deal.
So Tom, I think we need to see what we can do to help you in that front.
I would appreciate any help.
Um,
Could we get a
Tom, for clarification, I didn't know you were, I discovered that you were living in the garage, but I didn't know until well after that article had come about.
Yeah, I haven't read the article
Yeah.
myself.
And it was nothing personal against you. And you could also go to the court and they'll give you a copy of that document.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I might have to head to him, so I'm gonna need that copy of, cause it was either the one on Church or down on Lake that made that determination.
I think it
but
would be
would-
Lake Street.
Definitely Lake Street.
I would point out though, Tim, that a friend of mine, Danny Moss, he wasn't happy with you. He said you gave him, you flipped him off the bird.
I don't even know who he is.
He was in my class.
The individual is another individual that I spoke to in the same situation as you.
Yes, yes, he's homeless
And I
also.
think he has since been, his situation has been addressed, I believe.
And I don't think I've used a bird, as you call it, or flipping anyone off for quite a few years. So I don't think that's an accurate depiction of what happened.
That's what Danny told me.
I don't even know him. I don't even know him, Tom. If he was sitting right here I wouldn't be able to pick him out.
Well, you were a year ahead of us.
I don't know, I don't recall him.
You have a contact for Shane? Well, you've already had a discussion.
Yes, I believe I'm on the list. I'm working with Michelle West, I believe her name is. She just had a grandchild, so I'm not calling her this week. I'll give her a call next week. She just had the grandchild last weekend or something like that. Yeah, I'm just looking for a place to rent, put a roof over my head so I can start seeing my son 3 weekends a month again. It's frustrating, extremely frustrating.
What's your budget
My budget?
for rent?
Well, I'm not sure because I still got to deal with the Social Security told me that I need to contact the Vermont Child Support, okay? And so I'm not sure what I've got for a budget at this point because they're taking, I think it's right around $12.50 a month. That's not a lot of money. And and they're taking a third of it and giving it to her against court order. I can't lay my hands on the court order. in the car with a lot of other crap. And I just haven't, had it in my hand a month ago.
Or you can get it, sounds like.
You get it.
Yeah, as Tim said, you could go right down to the court on Lake Street probably and get a copy of that order.
Yeah, well, see, I wasn't a participant. The state, Medicaid appointed a nurse to me, to my case, and she put it through. So I was never in court. I'm not sure if it's court on Lake or on Church. And I've been calling her. I don't know if she's slacking these days. She's a smart ass whip, but she kicks me in the ass. Yeah, she hasn't been responding to my calls for the last few weeks, so I'm not sure what's going on.
Well, as Tim said, probably an in-person visit down at the courthouse would start things on.
Yeah, just explain the situation, talk to Gay Paquette, and I'm sure she'll get you what you need.
Yeah, we'll get it right first.
Yeah.
Yeah, is she one of the clerks, is she?
Yeah, she's
been there
yeah.
for a long time. So why don't you leave your number with Nicole?
Sure. And yeah, no, I thank you for hearing me out.
Thank you for coming.
Hopefully.
Do you want to
Thanks,
write
Kim.
your number underneath your name?
Okay.
And we will, we'll ask
I
around.
remember I had a seizure a year and a half ago, and my short-term memory is kind of screwy these days. I just want to check my phone, make sure that's right.
Anyone else here for public? Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, folks.
Anyone else for public comment? Anyone online?
Hello. Hi.
Erica, would you have a comment?
I do. I have come before you to present a petition. I have completed a petition for a street sign on Bellow Street during school hours, which is by the St. Albans City School community. I'm proposing to have a one-way blinking sign at the corner of Bellows and North Elm Street, which will only be during school hours. This is an adequate solution to an ongoing traffic and safety issue. I also, bear with me just a moment, I also spoke with Superintendent Mr. Kimball, and he commented, "We know there's a petition to ask the City Council to establish a one-way street on Bellow Street, starting at the southeast corner of the St. Albans City School to the parking lot in front of the building. Maple Run is in favor of this and think it will provide a safer traffic pattern during drop-off and pickup times." And I also have a form here of 21 signatures, 2 separate pages of people within the community.
So can you drop that off, Erica, and we will evaluate it?
Absolutely.
I'm not totally, Mr. Kimball's here next up. So you're talking one way into the school and around to all this street and back out?
Yes, sir. Yes.
And all this street would be one way as well?
No, only Bellow Street. That's the only area that is having some traffic issues. There's one specific homeowner on that street, which is directly across from St. Albans City School, that has been inconsiderate and actually was head on a couple of weeks ago with another parent. And I went to, I believe, Mr. Cloud within the city, and he stated that this has been an ongoing issue for a couple of years now, but nobody has proposed or went further with this issue. I'm sorry, nobody has went forward to come up with a solution for this issue.
Okay, we will not be acting on that tonight. I don't know if you were expecting it or not, but if you can drop that off to Mr. Cloud, we will discuss that. Council have anything to add? Anyone?
So we would have to do a whole ordinance change to make that happen, correct? Would it be easier for the school to put out cones so people can't exit that parking lot?
Why don't we take the request in and schedule it as an
Okay.
item?
Yeah, it just seems like there's a simple solution here.
Seems that way.
It seems,
Unless you're the resident on Bellow Street.
unless you're,
Yeah.
but my guess is, I bet you some of those signatures on there may be.
So let's, I mean, if we're gonna have an airing of it, let's schedule it and allow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So really, Tim, it impacts one resident because the other 3 residents that exit onto that street can always just go across the gym and come out that way.
Yeah.
So it's one resident that would have to go all the way around, which is the resident she's talking about.
Okay, so Erica, drop that off City Hall and we'll move the discussion forward. Do you have anything else you want to add?
I also just would like to add, I spoke with Joan, the principal, and she stated that Officer Kaylee Catarat was, she was patrolling that area because this woman was even harassing her. She would, when she was the SRO at the school, she would be the one directing traffic for her specifically. So it has been an issue even with the PD. It's not just the parents.
Okay. Right, drop that off and the city manager will follow up with you prior to our next meeting.
Okay, great. Thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome. Thank you for joining us. Anyone else have any public comment? Seeing none, we'll move on to item number 4, Superintendent from Maple Run School District, Bill Kimball. Bill, welcome.
Thank you.
Bill and I met 2 or 3 weeks ago and thought that a good opportunity for him to come in and share what outreach that the supervisory union is doing. So I thought it would be good to hear it firsthand and share it with the board. So Bill, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Tim. I think many of you may, I don't think I've met all of you, but I've been serving as superintendent. This is my 2nd year, but it's my 4th year in the district. Before that, I was the assistant superintendent. And I just want to tell you from my experience, I've had the pleasure of working in 4 districts. That's probably the easiest way to call them, because Vermont has so many different ways of signifying organizations that do education. But this one has the best community feel that I've ever been part of, and you should all be really proud as the city council of the community feel that's here. I've experienced that day 1, and it's been ever since. So it's a really great place to work, and I enjoy being here. I wanted to come and do 3 things really. First, thank you for your support and your staff's support. Whenever the school district has needed help from the city, it's been right away, whether it's Marty helping with us with public works, or Dominic helping out with different issues, or the mayor, Tim, helping out getting things going from just, I can think of many different things from helping out with COVID distribution, from our police, your police force helping us, with then our SRO to now district liaison officer. The partnership there is just so worthwhile. And now Marty and I were just chatting right before the meeting about taking care of the old city pool, and taking out the pool and that coming back to the school district, since that's school district land. So it's just been unbelievable support. Really relish it, and I'm sure we'll keep on going. So that's the one thing I wanted to say. The second thing I wanted to let you know is some of the work the school board's been up to. Since I've been superintendent, one of the things that the school board's been really asking is we have a mission statement since we merged from the 4 separate districts into one school district for Maple Run. And the mission was created right at the beginning of that. And they're re-looking at that and saying, what are the goals of the school district? And you may have heard there was some press that was written up in the Messenger. It's been out there on Facebook and many other different medias about a listening tour that's happening right now. And it's for 2 goals. One, looking at equity in our school system and what are hopes and dreams of folks for equity across the system. And second, the school board has developed a goals subcommittee, which is made up of 4 board members. We have, for those who may or may not be aware, we have 10 members, which are 9 votes from the 3 municipalities. But we're really trying to engage the community and asking, what are your hopes and dreams for our students? And there are 11 listening sessions. And 1 is for government officials. So folks that are elected and folks that work for the government, that work for local government. So well, it could be any of you, it could be Dominic, it could be Marty, it could be other folks that work within the system. So what I'm here is to, the third part is to invite you to take part in those. We really want to know what the goals are. We're going to use that to create a strategic plan for the school district. I'll send you all an email tomorrow morning, giving you a link to an invitation to a survey that we use for people signing up. Right now we have about 56 folks signed up, and we're starting to schedule those sessions. So also willing to answer any questions you have tonight, but I thought those are kind of my floor. Tim and I talked about that, where he's helping with the business sector as well through his other roles. So we're working on those type of things right now.
So do you have those dates yet?
We have the dates. The dates haven't come out. I will have those 2 dates. The one for the government official, we're working on that. We had them this morning, then we had to rearrange some dates. So I was hoping I was going to be here tonight with the actual date. So I'll get those to you in an email tomorrow.
When you and I last spoke, workforce is an issue for everyone.
Yep.
Can you just touch on where you're at with your staffing in the 4 schools?
Sure. Right now we're down, we have about, what I always keep my head, and it's been a real change for me because this is about double the size of my last school district I was superintendent at. We have 560 employees. So that are employed full-time by Maple Run. So we have a lot of other coaches and staff like that. But the 560, we're down about 25 employees right now. 4 or 5 of them are licensed positions where you need an education license. So you might think a teacher, we're fine with our core teaching staff. There's a couple licensed positions, and some of it we've had to contract out. Speech language pathologists, we're using some teletherapy, they work remotely and come in. So of those 25, so that's maybe 3 or 4 positions. So we're down about 20 at most. I can actually tell you in the past week, we've filled a few more of those positions, and those are support, anything from paraprofessional to a custodian. We're down 2 maintenance workers, which is one of our biggest needs right now. I'm trying to keep the buildings up to speed. We're actually having to contract out for that right now. And we'd rather have internal folks. So that's kind of where we're at right now. And then I think it's, Tim, you and I spoke about trying to integrate some of the career technical work that we're doing, and we've seen a real uptick in our number of students that are taking advantage of a career technical education. So, what else might I have forgot from our conversation?
Well, the conversation that I had with the principal, Brett Blanchard, was we started a conversation about parking.
Yep.
Looking at some potential solutions there that city managers been on board with. So hopefully that will progress as well, and there'll be more to report on that here in the coming months. So, anyone have any questions for them?
I don't have any questions, but I think we have, with those equity sessions, I think it's needs, hopes, and dreams. I think that's kind of the way I would put it, because there's a bunch of needs that we really need to do, and they aren't hopes and dreams that need to happen.
Right.
But I really appreciate you coming here and speaking with us. I can remember 12 or 13 years ago, when I first got on, we weren't connected really well to the school, and at the time, City School was proposing a huge renovation project at the same time as we were proposing a large increase, because we had all kinds of infrastructure issues that hadn't been addressed for years and years and years. And because we weren't that connected. It looked really bad when it went to the voter, and here we're talking about a 7% increase since the school's talking about building a new school, and we're, So anyway, I really appreciate this, and if there's a time where you think you want one of us to go up there and talk about what we're doing, please reach out to Tim. Tim loves going up there and talking.
He's coming up
anyway, we could find a representative to go up there and speak, just like you're coming here and chatting with us as well. So,
well, I think partnership. I mean, that's been one of the cornerstones of my work as a superintendent. Is that you have to reach out, and you have to go do the face-to-face. And it's one of the things I missed last year. Is my first year as superintendent. It's what I really wanted to do. So this year I'm making a point of go out and see people. So this is one of them.
Yeah, like 5 or 6 years ago, the BFA, the principal at BFA, I think it's actually the assistant principal at BFA reached out to me, and students were talking about parking and why people, So anyway, I went up there and chatted with the students, and it was great. They saw my perspective, I saw their perspective, so it was, it was a really great conversation for 45 minutes. I enjoyed it. So
good.
Anyway, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
What I failed to share was Bill shared with me that he's expecting the school tax rate to drop about 20 cents.
I didn't say anything like that.
How do I contact you?
You can contact me through, there's a link on the website. It says, and it just says contact superintendent. I'll give you my email right now. It's just bkimball@maplerun.org. And Dom and Tim both have my cell phone number, and they're more than welcome to hand it to any of you. I just don't want to say that on public record, right? Broadcast. My email's pretty well known, so. But please, any issues, any questions you have, I think all input is good input. It really is. Anything anyone has to say. That's how we know if we're doing our job right or not. So.
One last question for you. What are you looking at for capital expenditures here? What are the?
So right now we're using ESSER funds, and we're out right. I don't know if you've heard, but we're out for an RFI and then an RFP for capital work in the range of about $6 million for the schools and about another 1.5 for Collins Pearlie in the central office. We're using a combination of capital funds that we have in reserve and ESSER federal money.
6 million across all 4 schools.
5.5 to 6, including all soft costs.
But across all.
Across all schools.
Specific to one school.
No, it's BFA. It's all Fairfield, city and town. And there's BFA. We have some major HVAC issues, and with COVID, it really came to a front. So we need to really, and that's what the funds are there for. So that's what we're going to use them for. All the schools are getting a lot of HVAC work. BFA is the one the most need. That building is in pretty tough shape.
It is old. Any other questions? None for Bill. Bill, thanks for coming in.
Thank you. Thanks for a chance to meet all of you and talk. And like I said, I'll get you an email tomorrow. Yep.
You'll be good. Safe travels.
Thank you.
We're going to move on to item number 5, City Parking Garage update with Mr. Manahan. Marty, how are you tonight?
Very well. Yourselves?
Good, thanks. So just to recap, we had a discussion at our last meeting relative to the parking garage and some activity that was happening there, and I think the city responded fairly quickly in trying to correct some of those issues. And so you're here to update us on that, so why don't you go ahead, Marty?
Yeah, so this is, staff has been dealing with this for the last several months, issues in the garage. We have shut down the power outlets in both towers. People were congregating there to charge their phones and computers and stuff. We secured all the bollards. We had about a half a dozen bollards over on Keith Tarusky's roof that the kids would come in and pull off and throw over. We put up additional signage. We've got additional lights and cameras going up on the top deck, so dispatch can be able to view the activity that's going on there as well. We've issued several no trespass orders to basically young kids that are just hanging out in the garage for no reason. It's treating it like a playground. So we have staff going through, multiple staff members going through multiple times a day. And we're continuing to send damage reports to PD. PD tracks them down and serves them, and we'll see what the state's attorney does with them. We've got some other alternatives that we're working on that would remain to be seen if that is effective or not.
Have you fixed some of the lights in there? Because I did drive.
So we fixed all the lights in the towers. The lights on the decks are energy efficient lights that are motion sensor lights, and Tony is looking at overriding those, if not all of them, at least the ones in the main deck, to stay on permanently.
I drove through there the other day and none of them turned.
Well,
they were really dim.
Right.
And then
They're light sensitive and they're motion sensors.
Yeah,
so they're LED lights, and he's going to change those lights out too.
Okay.
LED lights aren't as bright as the.
Okay. Because they did not turn on as I was going around, but it was light out. But some of the other lights were bright.
Right.
Not all of them were. Okay.
And are we not gonna plow the upper deck that discussed?
That's a possibility. We've got to take some snow off that deck just for the snow load,
Right.
but we'll wait and see what. If we get a heavy snow, we would do it and we could coat it off or something. But and we've done that in the past too, until we were able to get on it.
That's the best place to watch the fireworks.
It's a great view.
It is a great view. You can see the fireworks really good to the park from there.
So soon after your discussion, Tim, I did receive an email from one of the tenants on Taylor Park Residences that his truck had been keyed as well. I'm not sure if we've had other complaints relative to damage or not. But.
We've had others, not recently that I've heard of, but we've had others that, like state employees that felt it was targeted at their particular vehicle and stuff. They've inquired if we had footage, but we didn't have particular footage for that, so.
Well, we will.
Depends on where the car is parked, yeah.
Talk about Kevin's one. Talk about Kevin's cleaning schedule.
So yeah, so we've got a staff member now that goes directly there in the morning. He comes in early at 6 a.m. He spends his first few hours there at the garage going through, cleaning everything, and then goes out periodically through the day and finishes his day there as well. But we've got footage of kids throwing full cups of soda down the stairs just for no reason other than destructive. So he spends a lot of time in there, but we'll keep at it until we.
And signage?
We put up additional signage, no loitering, no skateboards, no smoking, no bikes. Put them at all the entrances. We've had signage at the entrance. We're also going to put signage on each post, on each deck, going up through.
So the one on the windows as you enter.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got some photos here. People haven't.
I definitely noticed a little bit of a difference. I've actually seen the maintenance person in there in the morning going in, and
did he kick you out?
No, I
go mentioned around. One guy that was hanging around.
No, I go around between the bank and on the west side. That's why I noticed that broken bottle. I sent someone a broken wine bottle. I have had more responses to the article in the Messenger than I have on anything I could ever remember on the city council, save probably the pool many years ago. And a lot of those were genuine. There were no negatives, and I don't even think Tom's was negative tonight. But the state office building, their fear of intimidation and walking through there, comments that are made to people from people that are in there. And I just think it's something we need to pursue. I'm not done yet because there's some other things that I think can be done that I'm working on with the city manager. But the sentiment is things are getting better. In fact, I was there with Joe Cahill and Mike Gahn. They were coming out of the garage. I was walking to the office one morning, and the police were making their rounds through there. And we discussed that. It's a good sight to see. So I just think it feels, as an air of feeling, it may be a little bit safer. I think that some of the stuff will stop this winter, like it will, because it'll be cold, it'll be snowing. But we can't let that go once the weather turns again, to be in a position or in a state that it was a couple of months ago, or several months ago. And great job. I mean, the city's really stepped up. For $13 million, that's what you would expect, right? $13 million, right? So,
yeah, and I think Parks Patrol had an impact in years past too, having them on in the summertime.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because I didn't want to bring that up tonight. That Parks Patrol would be I think would be great. I think just a presence of someone, some kind of official going around there actually does a lot. And we may have to rethink how we are staffing that and the types of surveillance that we have inside there.
And I would just encourage, I've gotten calls from people saying that people are in there doing stuff. And I remind them, their first call should be to dispatch.
Yeah.
Call them, and then they can call me, that's fine, and I'll go down and check it out. But if people see something, definitely call dispatch and let them know, and they can send it.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, those folks are the eyes and ears of dispatch,
right,
too. I mean, because dispatch can't see everything. And no one's gonna know anything unless someone's calling and saying something's going on. So I urge everybody who has a problem or sees a problem going on in the garage to call City PD right immediately.
And anytime there's been vandalism or anything, our guys are on it the next day, and that hasn't been an issue as of late, knock on wood. But again, we've got videos of young kids doing it. So
I believe that you sent me one where the day the person went in there and cleaned everything up, by the afternoon those garbage cans were all knocked down the stairs again. That's ridiculous. I mean, it's just, there's no need for it. There's absolutely no need for it.
But it's a team effort. PD is on it. We're on it. We have other staff members who are stopping in. So,
Shannon, have a question for you.
So I went by the hotel a couple weeks ago, and there were 4 or 5 motorcycles parked out. There were the big touring bikes, and they had Quebec plates on it. I know from experience, because sometimes I drive my bike to work, there's no motorcycle parking in the parking garage. Where do they park?
So they can either park there or they can park in the courthouse lot.
They can park in there. So
like
they
when
park right in the front of the hotel.
Yeah, yeah. But when a big bus comes in, like right now, usually Marine or Monica will call and say they've got a bus coming in and we have them park over in the courthouse lot, and they move out in the morning and it's fine. So we find spots for them. But yeah, the sensitivity in the concrete pad doesn't allow motorcycles to go in without the gate shutting prematurely. So
it would be fantastic if there was a spot somewhere around there where they could park. It's probably an oversight on our part of not putting something
there. Yeah, we've got some. It would require enforcement and signage, but we could. And I'm not sure that they would want to leave their bikes back there. But I think that's the other thing. The ones I saw this weekend had covers on them and were out in front. So.
Any other questions from Marty? Where are you good? Marty, thank you for your work on that, and thanks to the police department as well.
Thank you
for their efforts.
Thank you.
I do agree with Tim. I think it's made a good difference, so hopefully we can keep it up.
We'll stay on.
All right, we're going to move. Who's handling 7? I don't see Chip in the audience.
We need to do
6
first.
I'm gonna channel Chip Sawyer tonight.
6, right. So second reading and adoption of proposed 4-way stop at Federal and Lower Newton.
Look for a motion to approve. That's it. We're ready to make this ordinance final at Lower Newton Federal Street.
I did see it backed up the other day, but it was backed up going up, which would have backed up anyway, whether there was a stop sign there or not, but anyway, that's the only time I've ever seen it backed up.
I haven't seen any backups, but again, you know, it's, I'm gonna say the same thing about the next one. That's a major thoroughfare in the city. we can't put a stop sign everywhere. And I think there's other things that could be done. I know it's, we don't know how hard it's gonna be to negotiate that intersection because we don't know what the full traffic capacity of the development's gonna be. But I just don't know if it's there yet, and we could temporarily put a stop sign coming from the railroad development onto Newton Street, or Lower Newton. So I'm gonna be against it, but I'm not gonna cry about it. I didn't like the stop signs on the streets on High Street. And so I just think that you can't put a stop sign everywhere, you just can't do it. Or else people are just gonna get frustrated. I think when you talk about Fairfield Street, High Street, the Lower Newton, Weldon Street, Lake Street, Main Street, you wouldn't put a stop sign on Main Street, even though people could argue that we need to have a stop sign on Main Street. But you just wouldn't do it. I can see the side streets, maybe some of the other corridor streets, but not those major thoroughfares.
Don, just to touch on that a little bit, when do we expect the railroad dispatch to be in their bill?
January.
January, so we'll have a feel for what the impact is at that time.
The other thing that's a part of this discussion is, that's part of the Federal Street corridor, and we just got a $7 million, what they used to call earmark, to build that thing, right? So in the coming years, we're going to be building the Federal Street corridor, and that design has a signal at part of it, and whoever comes in to fund the site is probably going to ask for a signal. Right? So signal might address some of the concerns because it has the ability to be linked in, but the other ones are not optimized.
Part of your work.
That one still doesn't sense.
They pay $600,000 for that privilege. I'm not sure it's worth it. I love the utility of the four-way stop myself, right? So, it's not a hill to die on for us, but it makes sense at the staff level to keep it because it's part of the design for that, right?
You're saying four-way.
A four-way stop there is part of the Federal Street. The long-term plan
Right.
is to have a four-way stop there. So to pull it kind of feels like we're going backwards, right?
Good. Anyone in the audience have any comments on this? Not seeing any, so let's move forward. Would entertain a motion on this.
I move that we adopt proposed four-way stop at Federal and Lower Newton.
Second.
Motion from Chad, seconded by Mike. Any further discussion, comments? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Nay.
Mr. Hawkins opposes, so motion passes. Thank you. We'll move on to the first reading for a four-way stop at Lake and Elm. You have that in your packet. So
This is a similar concept, but it's a different traffic pattern, and we haven't been receiving complaints about up at Lower Newton like we have at Elm Street, but for many, many years we've had complaints about the need for traffic calming from folks coming up from the lake, and the need to improve the sight distances. Because nobody can get out from Elm Street to turn either way. So some graphic representations there and a cross analysis about the sight distances. But at the staff level, if people are saying that folks are going too fast and that they can't see out to turn around to turn, and that they don't want to lose any parking, well, the way to fix all those is a four-way stop.
I think that the pictures reflect the ability for the city to come up with some other alternatives before we proceed with having to put a stop sign there. And I don't think that taking away a couple of those parking spots down there is going to upset our parking schematic or the way people park in that area now. So those trees can be cut. I probably shouldn't say this on the record, but I actually drove up there 35 or 40 miles an hour the other day when I rode up, just to see, because I drive up that street quite a bit. And there's, if someone is wanting to drive 35 or 40 miles an hour, or 30 or 35 miles an hour up that street, it's because they're intentionally wanting to drive that fast up there. Because there's no way you're coming up from the town by the time it takes you to get all the way to Beveridgemere before you start slowing down. I don't think that's a valid argument. Lake Street is a major thoroughfare. That is one of the corridors into the city of St. Albans. And to have people stopping that far away from the city, it's nonsensical. Why don't we just see if the town wants to put a stop sign down by Adams Street or down by Brigham Road? That's ridiculous. They wouldn't do that. It's definitely not a Newton Street situation. I've actually had a couple of calls on people that people call me that don't want to see stop signs on our thoroughfares, like Lake Street or Fairfield Street, and I agree with those. And I think there's other things that we could be doing to calm that traffic or slow that traffic down other than putting a stop sign on Route 36.
I think I respectfully disagree with Tim on that. I fully understand your concerns about some of those streets. High Street has about 9 stop signs on the way to Quarry Court and so forth. But I think that one of the main concerns on this particular one is not so much cars going fast on Lake Street, but the inability of cars on North Elm Street and South Elm Street to access Lake Street sometimes because of the cars parking there. So, or cross. And so, and not only that, but the Lake Street coming in from the bay, there's no traffic impediments until you get to that area. So I don't think I don't think that argument is totally valid on Lake Street. So I think I would be in favor of this.
And I'd just like to add to that, I'm one that takes that intersection all the time, and I won't even take it anymore. Because I did almost get hit about 3 weeks ago. So now I go around to Maple Street and then turn left to come up street. But that is turned into such a blind intersection. You cannot see. You've got cars parked in front of the church lately that were never there before. They're there all day long. So I don't know if they belong to the daycare or what the story is there. And then you've got the Apple Blossom people dropping off their kids in the front there. You get to that corner and you might get a vision of cars in between the SUVs and the trucks and cars. You might get a vision of the roofs. But if you've got a little low car, you don't see it. So you think you're in the clear, you pull into the middle of the intersection and somebody is right there. To say nothing about looking down towards the bay. And if somebody's coming up on a motorcycle, you never see them. The other obstacle we have there is that we've got a crosswalk that goes over to the play park. You're so busy concentrating on the cars and getting out of that intersection, there could be a kid in that crosswalk, you never see him till the last minute. And it's gotten and you also want to remember North Elm is also kind of a thoroughfare to the town, to Lower Newton. So that street gets traveled a lot. In addition to the school, you know, at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 2:30 in the afternoon, there's a lot of traffic that goes through there. So that intersection is extremely blind and has gotten more so in the past few months. So I know you say hopefully there's other alternatives. I don't know what your thoughts are on those alternatives. And I'm certainly open to listening to other alternatives. I don't like the stop signs either. But the stop sign that I feel absolutely worthless is going up Congress Street at the corner of High. why do we have to stop there? I mean, High should be the one to stop, and then Converse goes straight up. So that one never made any sense. I think this one made sense.
I think you can make those arguments about a lot of streets in the city of St. Albans, and I do agree with you on High Street. Nine stop signs before you get 5 streets or 6 streets or 7 streets away is ridiculous. And but to the point, Marie, you made the same comments about getting off from Spruce Street and making the corner there. I mean, I think that's just as dangerous as well.
Yeah.
Things that we could do: eliminate parking, having compact cars park only, signs for compact cars like they do across from Boston Taylor. Cutting some of those, the tree back on the south side of Lake Street, right before Elm Street, North Elm Street, or I'm sorry, South Elm Street. There's just a lot of things. I think this was just a rush to get a stop sign in there and to have an engineer draw up some plans to say, what do we have to do to put a stop sign there, before we thought of other alternatives that we could use. So that's my argument.
Sure.
So I live down there and I travel that intersection quite a bit, and I'm gonna tell you, Tim, there's a lot more people going 35, 40 miles an hour than you think. So again, it could be.
Well, I do that on Main Street, so.
Yeah, it could be that they're trying to get, it could be they're in a rush, I have no idea. I think it needs a stop sign. There's just too many kids going in and out there. Almond Blossoms, if we go by the plan here, there's no parking in front of Almond Blossoms, and every night there's parking. All the parking spots are filled in front of, oh geez, I can't, Gaze Market, that's all I can think of.
Yeah.
You know, that's my biggest concern. My concern with the stop signs is you're not gonna be able to see them. So, to me, if we're gonna do this intersection, we should probably do it right and have bump outs on Main Street. And it could be the bump outs. Lake Street, sorry. It could be the bump outs, slow people down, and you can see the pedestrians a lot easier. So the other day, it was church, I've pulled out, because I'm trying to come off North Elm to go across to South Elm. I'm now out, I'm blocking the traffic coming this way because I'm trying to see the traffic coming this way. At the same time, someone's walking, going across a crosswalk, and then decided to walk in front of my car because I'm now 3/4 of the way across the crosswalk with a car right on my back bumper. So it's just like, it's only a matter of time before someone gets creamed there. Someone trying to cross that crosswalk. I'm sorry.
And I wanna, explain another situation that happens too. You got a car heading down towards the lake on Lake Street, and they're gonna turn onto South Elm. They're gonna take a left on South Elm. So you're parked behind them. All of a sudden, the 4th or 5th car decides, I don't wanna wait anymore, I'm gonna pass on the right. So he starts passing on the right just as that car clears and you get ready to turn here and he's right here beside you.
Well, that's someone violating a roadway rule, and what makes it any difference if he wanted to run a stop sign? He wants to travel and pass a car or go into another lane past a double yellow line.
Well, he's gonna know what
And then they might as well just go through the stop sign too, right? I mean, I just think the more impediments we put in the way of people driving, the less people are gonna recognize them, and the more dangerous it's gonna become for people who are relying on those. That was my argument with the stop sign over on Federal Street. Now I've gotta rely on someone to stop when it becomes my turn to go, rather than run it through. Now, I've actually seen that happen before. So, I mean, people are gonna rely on those things for safety, and it's not gonna come to fruition. So therefore, what you're saying is the same argument that I've been making, is, it's,
so that's,
if you wanna do it one way, you can do it the other way.
So then that's someone violating traffic.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
by not waiting for your turn, they're just violating.
That's right. Absolutely right.
Can I ask a question, maybe just for Chad and Marie? Have we engaged with Apple Blossoms, the Holy Angels about, it would seem if you wanted to have a solution to the sightline issues without putting in a 4-way stop, you have to remove a whole lot more parking.
You have to move a lot.
Right. And so I'm wondering,
What's the definition of a lot?
10, at least 10, 12
Yeah.
lots.
yeah, And it sounds like the way that Apple Blossoms is utilizing the street parking. Yeah, that's
their drop off.
that.
And when you can't park in front of Spectrum because that's all blocked, now you're down at Beverage Mart in the morning, dropping off your kids or picking up your kids because all those parking spots are full. Whereas the ones right in front of Spectrum, or right in front of Almond Blossom, they're just coming and going real quick.
Almond Blossom has a driveway and a garage out back, don't they?
They don't
No,
go
they have a
around.
parking, they have it's all playground.
Yeah,
They do have a driveway.
They do have a driveway, yeah.
yeah.
But people pulling into there and then trying to back out onto North Elm, it's gonna be an even bigger mess.
At certain times of the day, just like when the church is getting out from its services, it's a Sunday, right?
Usually, yeah.
Okay.
Saturday evening or Sunday.
But lately, the church has had cars parked. I noticed the church has blockades off on the North Elm Street side of that parking lot that's behind the church. I don't know why they put blockades up there, but, so I'm wondering if those cars now parked in front of the church actually used to park in the churchyard and maybe they don't want them there anymore. I don't know. But now it's like all day, every day.
Well, didn't we just, didn't zoning approve a development down there for Tyler Stanislaus with a number of units?
That's over in the old Handies.
That was,
Or is that the one
where was that,
behind?
Marty?
3 or 4 years ago, just beyond Holy Angels.
Yeah, and so maybe it wasn't thought out well
Oh, they got lots of parking.
well, yeah, probably in the street now, right?
No, there's lots of parking back there,
Yeah.
yeah. No, good driveway.
But
Seems like you got three options. You could eliminate some parking, like a lot of it, blow it out so that people can see, right? Or you could take, that's option one, you could pass that motion. Option two is to preserve as much parking as you can while adding a four-way stop. Or the third option is status quo.
I know that you say that someone's gonna get creamed there, but we can say that about a number of places. All right? We could say that about a number of places. We've had incidents where people have been injured on our own crosswalks.
Yeah.
So,
Great, there's just not I mean, I'm thinking Barlow Street, I'm thinking where there are parks, we pretty much have them surrounded by four-way stops.
That's right.
Almost every park, there's a four-way stop at every intersection right around that park.
where are they around Taylor Park? Off Church Street? None.
No,
Where are they? There's one on the bottom of Bank Street. I don't even know if there's a stop sign there at the bottom of Bank Street. There might be. And we have the light over the corner of Fairfield and Main. So that doesn't,
So
that argument doesn't apply.
well, it
right?
does, because none of the, Taylor Park's not designed for kids. So theoretically, most of the kids that are in Taylor Park are with their parent, probably a little bit being more responsible.
Can I have folks look at the photo in your packet? I just want to point something out. I'm looking at this one with the white car. Yeah,
That's your car, isn't it?
just taking the photos. I think it's interesting that you have striped off space in front of it and behind it. Seems to me that could be back, I don't know what else is here, but that seems an odd place to have one parking spot. So you could.
Is that on the northeast side of Lake?
Yep.
Right in front of Almond Block, because there's
No.
a.
No,
South.
it's right in front of the church, right across the street from the church.
I think it's because there's a driveway right there too. So for sightlines for that driveway.
Oh,
The other thing, Tim, on those trees, I think that's a good idea. We were checking to see if those were in our right of way. Or if they were the homeowners' trees. They're.
We still would have control trimming them back if they're not, I mean, if it's a safety issue, right?
You're right, we could do a safety order.
Okay, let's, what are people's,
First reading.
yeah, we can,
We don't have to do any.
Well, if we don't, you're right, we don't do anything, but is this what we want to follow? Like that's
What are the other options?
do nothing or?
No, like Tim said, you want other traffic coming out, I'm open to anything.
We've already had the Peter Cross study, so we know what that alternative is.
We could do a site visit. We could map out what the parking would look like, not just follow the engineer's sketches, but sort of ground truth it, if you will, mark it out. Bump outs are really expensive, right, and, if you did pass the ordinance, the first step would be to put the stop signs in and, really figure out a way to have this pop.
Is there any state money for that, meaning that it's a class 2?
Maybe, but do you want it done or do you want to get a grant to do it, it'd be better, it'd be 3 years, right? We'd have to go through right away and, so.
I'm thinking in addition, if you did the 4-way, you could do that while you're waiting.
Yeah.
But I do think a bump out would be important there.
Bump outs are
horrible. That's the problem.
What's that?
You need 4 of them, that's the problem.
Yeah, 2 on each side, you mean?
Yeah. Or get rid of one of the crosswalks.
Yeah. That's probably what you'd do.
So then you have 2.
Yeah.
If Budgie, you're a soul in the body, you live on planet Earth, but it's in the multiverse. So it's just like you so don't get me wrong, but it's your perfect.
Awesome.
Who was that?
Somebody wants us to move along.
I know that's gonna make the Messenger article.
We could cone off some of those spaces temporarily, just if you guys.
I'm only seeing
site visit.
2 spots where you would really have, if we eliminate, like Tim said, that white car in the first picture, but if you look at the next picture, where the car's parked right in front of Almond Blossoms, I think that is a striped off area like it is across the street there.
I think there's 4 or 5 spots in front of Almond Blossom there to block off.
All right, but why are you saying you have to block those, Chad? Why can't we block 2?
If I look at the engineer's drawing, it goes all the way down to the front of Spectrum, that there's a trucker's van or something there. That's the first spot that would be able to have.
So Chad, are you suggesting that we find a middle ground between?
I'm open to anything. If we think we can slow people down before there and we can create a situation where you can see people in the crosswalks.
I remember back when we were doing some of the master planning stuff a decade ago, and Lake Street was designed for boulevard feel. It's got the feel of just, a big, open, wide.
That's for the bike lanes.
Yeah. So I guess what I would say, hearing everything that I've heard, and I'm a little bit ambivalent about whether I think there should be a 4-way stop there. I see the safety issues, and I'm wondering if you can achieve some level of the sight lines with only getting rid of half the parking that's in the engineering study without violating, the principles of what's in the NHTSA.
You could do it all incrementally. You could make, you could take 1 spot and make it 20% better or something, right? As soon as we go down that road, we're gonna have the church and Almond Blossoms and maybe some of the residents around there saying, look how much of my parking you're taking, right? So.
You hear that no matter how many spots you pick.
I don't think the residents will have a big issue, but Almond Blossom and the church, they might be able, if I'm looking at this right, the entrance to Holy Angels is right there. You might get 1 spot in at the very end.
I think we should table it for tonight. There's enough interest in it that it might have legs if you're not waving us off and say, don't bring this back. Let's schedule a site visit. Let's go out there and look at it.
I'm there all the time.
I know. And you're gonna set refreshments, I hope.
Can I ask one other quick question before we move on? Is there any way to do like an island or something that's more central there instead of the bump outs? Or is that as?
Well, that's
As a
gonna calm
traffic
traffic, but it's gonna make it harder, I think, for the turn.
Yeah.
right? I mean, that'll make it,
I think Elm Street would have a real tough time with something like that, although it's a good idea, no doubt.
All right, so,
If you look at that diagram that you're looking at, you look at the trees that are flowing over the,
I'm looking at this one right
yeah, that's what I'm looking at too.
Yeah.
You see the trees that are flowing right over the middle of the street too, right?
Yeah, well, when I'm in my car, I look underneath the trees, so. I don't look up, maybe even my truck, I might catch the top of them. But honestly, the hardest part is coming off North Elm. South Elm's hard because you're trying to, people that are courteous try to hug the curb so if someone coming on can get in. Otherwise, most people just stop in the middle of the road and you start to make the turn and you realize I'm gonna be on the curb next to the telephone pole in order to get around this person. But
Why isn't there this same type of problem with Russell Street? Russell Street can get out and go south on Lake Street and go north on Lake Street.
There's not the parking.
there's no parking.
Not the parking, plus you don't have a direct street across.
Yeah, well, I know it's not a four-way, but they don't, I mean, if that's your problem with people getting out from South Elm, well, how come Russell Street doesn't, Russell Street doesn't solve a problem with it?
Tim,
But parking, yeah.
yeah, but people come down Lower Walden and then they bang a right onto
Yeah.
South Elm. They don't go down to Russell. So when you're talking about the number of cars coming down Russell or coming down Cedar, you're basically talking just the residents. The people, there's so much traffic coming down Lower Walden because that's their way to get away from going over Main Street, especially after we got rid of Holmes Street. So they just come down to that first stop sign, come across South Elm, and that's now, it's better now that immigration's not there. It's really crazy when immigration there, but.
Okay, so we're gonna table this, right, until we have a site visit?
just for the record, let the record reflect that if we get some traction on the solution, we'll come back for second reading, right? We're not doing first reading yet.
That's fine. All right, everyone's good on that?
I guess I owe Chip a six-pack. I told him I could get this done.
Lack of PowerPoint.
All right, number 8, item on your agenda, number 8 is a new car water and wastewater allocation. New car is looking at doing an expansion across the road from their current building to accommodate the manufacturer's demands for growth.
Motion to approve new car water wastewater allocation based on the application presented.
This is basically just moving their car dealership, right?
No, the expansion of.
Oh, it's expansion of? Okay.
All right, so we have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Chad, any comments or questions? Mike?
Real quick, this isn't in the North End Water District?
It is in the North End, but North End, what now is affiliation for water only.
Ah.
No.
Okay. Any comments, audience? Hearing none, we have a motion, and was there a second? Tim made the motion, Chad seconded, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposition? Hearing none, the allocation is approved for new car. Moving on to consider appointment of Marcus Niebar to the Police Advisory Board. We'll turn it over to either Chad or Mike, who did the interviews on that.
We interviewed Mr. Niebar. He is a Swanton resident, but lives on one of the streets just off of Lower Newton. Has a son who's a teenager and doing a cadet program with the St. Albans Police Department. He's gotten involved in the community in several ways. I think he'd make a really good addition, and I think Chad and I are united in our recommendation that we appoint him to the Police Advisory Board.
I agree. I think he brings great lived experience to that board.
Okay, making a motion.
I'll move to appoint Marcus Niebar to the P.E.G.
Now second.
We have a motion from Mike, seconded by Chad. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Marcus is appointed. I would just like to make one comment, and that is, in the future, I think we're losing track of some city representation on that board. So in the future, I'd would hope that any nominations coming forth would have a city resident piece to the application for sure. So, we're all good there. Let's move to the mayor's report. Couple things. Just shout out to Frank Spenley, who will be turning 100 years old in 2 weeks. Went down to the World War II monument through the Veterans Organization that brings people to Washington, D.C. to visit that. It was a nice event in the city with support from Public Works, Fire Department, and Police, as well as a number of other residents. It was a very nice event moving forward.
Frank was a great resident of Ward 1 and had a homestead on the corner of Lakeview Terrace and Messenger Street for many, many years. Many years.
60 plus.
Yeah.
For those that haven't been to the pool, I encourage you to stop by. The dome is beautiful, lighting is beautiful. I understand a lot of senior activity in terms of doing lap swim. This adds another addition to alternatives for the seniors. Speaking of seniors, the Senior Center had an excellent silent auction over the weekend that was very well attended, had probably 100 things that were donated to help support them. I don't know what the total outcome was of the fundraising, but they were working hard, and the city has worked with them also to help them accomplish a few things. So that was a nice event at the Senior Center. I think that's all I have for now. Marie?
Yeah. Well, for Ward 3, we're planning another neighborhood watch meeting within the next week or two. So we'll hopefully get a lot of input. Still have been having ongoing problems on one of the streets, but I don't know, maybe we can uptick the police presence over there again and sort of keep things there. But, and then I did have a question for Marty. Marty, a long time ago now, like maybe last year or so, we spoke about the Center Street garbage cans, and I know we widened the sidewalk there. We talked about getting like an enclosure for them. Is that still, did we just decide not to do that, or is that still?
The property owner wasn't interested in that. We can revisit it certainly, but.
Okay.
And then a business moved and it didn't seem to be the issue that it was.
Okay, well.
And I haven't, PHSO hasn't seen the garbage issue it used to be, but.
Yeah.
We can look at that.
Yeah, thank you. I think that's.
Just to touch base on that, so were you getting complaints?
One person asked about it. One of the tenants down there had asked about it, and so it was mentioned to me, and I said, I'm not sure, because I thought we were going to get a container for that, like an enclosure, so the cans wouldn't be right there, visible. I took a look at it one day. It is better than what it was. Although they weren't keeping the garbage, but it might have just been the day, and I think the cigarette butts are still an issue there too, from what I understand. So I'm just thinking if we did get an enclosure there, and then at least if they dropped a cigarette butt, it would go down on the garbage and touch it off, But
Is that it, Rick?
that's it for me.
Chad?
I just want to say, Marty, thank you for the whole park. It's looked fabulous all summer long, so it's been, you guys did a great job of keeping it. I know I've seen trash in the courts, and then I'll come back. I'm like, I'll get that when I get back from work, and I come back and it's already picked up. So I don't know if you guys are picking it up or someone's picking it up, but thank you much. That's really appreciated. And then tonight, I haven't said this in a while, but I will say this now. I have always felt very proud about the fact that we can disagree and be very respectful to each other when we disagree. just a testament to the respect that I think we have for each other, so I just want to say thank you to each of you for that as well. That's it. Thanks.
Bob?
I don't think I have anything to report from Ward 5. Things are pretty calm down there right now.
Shooting stick.
I keep them in line. They go on a patrol.
Mike?
We got some good coverage of the three churches, St. Luke's and the First Congregational and St. Paul's did a blessing of the animals in the park, and Channel 5 came and the park was looking great. My dog is now slightly holy, I guess. So it was pretty cool to see us get some positive human interest coverage for something going on in the park. Wanted to ask Marty I got a couple questions just about the timeline with the construction on Congress Street, the work that's being done up there. Do you know kind of roughly what?
Yeah, so they should have that wrapped up in about 3 weeks. They're putting the drain line in for the new tank, and once they get that in, construction will stop until the spring.
So if they want water, they really need to like be patient about it.
Yeah, it'll go quick once they get going.
Great, thank you. And I've just had a bunch of visitors come through, you know, I had some friends, candidates statewide, and people are just really impressed with the downtown. So thanks to everybody, and Marty, your crews for keeping everything looking great.
Kelly Wakefield too.
Yeah.
Kelly does a great job with the flowers.
Wanted to remind people to be nice to Nicole and get their ballots in before the end of the month if they're mailing them.
Yes, I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
What is the deadline?
So the ballots need to be received by the clerk by election day. So
I can receive them up through 7 p.m. at night.
right.
Okay.
Yes.
So if you have a ballot and it's filled out on election day, you need to come and hand deliver it. If you don't put it in the drop box, do not put your filled out ballot
After
in
7
your
p.m. we
mailbox.
won't check. We'll lock the doors. We'll go check all of our boxes, and then that's it. After 7 p.m. then everything will be in the auditorium.
So whatever you get in the mail the
Processing.
next day is,
Yeah, so if anybody mails it the next day or drops it after 7 p.m., I'd say 7:15, you know, by the time we lock doors and check all the receptacles, then that'll be it. Your vote won't count.
But the Secretary of State's office is saying, you know, give it a week plus to make, if you are mailing it.
Yeah.
We've
got quite a few back already. We've had a lot of undeliverable ones that I've been working through today, and I'll be reaching out to quite a few by the end of the week.
Okay. So we've got 3 drop boxes as well. This one here on the stairs, one out front and one out back that you can really drive up to.
Yep.
Great.
Tim?
Seeing good progress on the shopping center. Thanks for fixing that ditch, Marty. You gonna do anything about the sidewalk? That square sidewalk right there?
Probably not this fall,
Yeah.
but in the spring we'll.
Okay.
Just because it's so late in the season.
And are there any timelines on Hangry the Donut Bar and the restaurant on the corner of Flower at One Bed? Anyone? Anybody?
This month, I believe.
This
They're
month
both-
for,
they're both set.
yeah.
Yep.
Now is the One Fed, are they coming for liquor license? They already do that?
They've already done that. They're good.
Off the rails.
Off the rails, yeah. Off the rails at One Fed, right?
I like the signage, they're doing that job.
Yeah, the sign looks good.
And Hangry Donut came in Friday, and I asked him where my donuts were, and he said they're coming soon. I'll have them by the end of the month.
It'll be,
Yeah. So, I mean, the renovations to their building were done based on the contractor's timeline, not on their business timeline, right? So, you know, speaking of signage, you know, so the off-the-rails signage, that's part of our contribution to it. And I think it's something we should think about doing, not just for new businesses, but for the other businesses that are here. And, you know, typically we partner 50-50 on those. Signage makes a huge difference. So.
And the businesses on Upper Lake Street, that signage
Yeah.
Well, it looks good.
That's it, Tim?
I just wanted to add one more thing, and that was, I'll end on a stinky note, and that is a lot of complaints about skunks. So Dom is working with pest control, setting traps throughout the city, trying to relocate some. I don't know if there's a coincidence, but it seems like the majority of the complaints are coming from Mr. Hawkins' ward.
Is it really skunks up there, Tim?
I think they're coming in from the town.
Oh, okay.
That's where we're relocating all the pigeons.
So we're trying to address that before the weather changes, but I think, this is just my personal opinion, I think, and a number of people tend to agree with me, and that is that how we compost, because it's a requirement now, that if individuals don't have a closed container, and you have 4 pallets nailed together that can be accessible, I think that has something to do, because we've had a lot of complaints about skunks. I know Upper Newton, one property owner has trapped 3 or 4 and relocated them. Your neighbor has trapped 2 or 3 and relocated them. And my thinking is that it comes to the exposed compost bins that are being required through an unintended consequence of our composting.
So what I would reframe that, Mr. Mayor, is that there is one remaining open landfill, and we don't want to put stuff that we can put back into the nutrient circulation in filling up that precious space that we have.
No, I totally agree with you.
So what we need to do is probably work on getting people closed compost.
Exactly.
I also, Northwest Solid Waste District has a really affordable service, and I know most of the haulers now can do it as an add-on where you get a 5-gallon pail that has a screw top, so that's secure.
But I'm saying is the ones who I think are doing it in their backyard
Yeah.
are the
Who
ones.
does is free too, so that's what
Co-op is as well.
Yeah, we just have a 5-gallon pail that we bought for $5 with a lid on it, and we bring it to the next.
I think it's the ones that are, people just use chicken wire or.
Yeah, where they're
pallets.
open.
They're open.
Yeah.
I think that's where the problem is being created, but. I've got a couple things, entertain a motion for the warrants.
Meeting minutes of 9/12/22.
Second.
Motion,
And I abstain from.
okay, motion to approve the minutes, in a second, all those in favor say aye.
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 Warrants,
Sorry, who made the motion and who seconded those?
I made the motion, Tim,
Second by Chad.
and I'll make the motion on the warrants, 9/30/22.
Motion on warrant. Second by Chad, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Hearing none, warrants are approved. And we get a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion to adjourn from Chad, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ray, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion, we are now adjourned.